All right, I want to express myself. I'm on the sci-fi express lane, and I'm ready to talk and share my thoughts and opinions with you. So today, I'm celebrating the success of my FangerNails Kickstarter. So if any of y'all have seen me on Facebook or Instagram, I've been sharing my FangerNails Kickstarter. It's got 2 days left. I think by the time this will get up, it'll have 2 days left. But the success of it is really taking off. I've done a comic book story. I did a coloring book for it, and I did a board game based on it. And all of that is in one project. It was my most ambitious project, and it is currently, unless I check, $24 away from making its goal. And I couldn't be more happy because I told myself I'm not going to stress, right? I'm not going to stress about it. These Kickstarters are pain in the butts because people tell you they're going to support you, and the support comes in late, and you're stressing all about it. You're like, oh my God, are they going to put down on the project? And they don't always do it, and you're wondering. And then with Kickstarter, you don't get your money unless you make your goal. So for me, I have done 3 successful Kickstarters. This is my 4th. And then I had a Kickstarter that actually made a really good amount of money and was going to probably make its goal, but I got nervous because the illustrator, or one of the illustrators, got COVID or was impacted by COVID. And I don't really, this is in the quarantine, so I don't really get to sit down with any of the illustrators. All I'm doing is kind of working with them online. And this particular illustrator had to stop working on the project because he was impacted by COVID. And I was concerned that I would not be able to deliver the comic book on time the way I wanted it. Now, I have other stories that I felt like at the end of it, I was like, man, I could have swapped that story out and put another story in, but it was too much. And at the time, this was in October, COVID was still big, and I just was like, you know what, let me pull the project down. And that's how it failed. And it was stressful for me, I was like, man, I was letting it get in my head. But now I approached this FangerNails project with a lot more patience, intelligence, and I have always felt that I could share my audience of readers with other people. And I'm a businessman before I was a comic book writer, and I said, you know what, let me open my comic book pages up to advertisement. And that has been like my saving grace. Comic book stores, I just came from a comic book store that is advertising in FangerNails, and I got about 2 or 3 others that are interested. Whether they're going to do it or not, it's okay, because I put it out there, and now the buzz has already taken place. And I think, that's a really good thing, So FangerNails was a step in response to people saying, do you have any comic books for kids? And they're standing at my table at these conventions. Do you have any comic books for kids? And I'm like, of course. They're all for kids, But, Twa-Man is like Dr. Strange, and he's taking on a genie, and there's a fight with the genie, but it's not overly bloody. He's saving some missing girls, kidnapped women, and, there's sexual innuendo in it, in your mind if you want to go there, but the pictures only have the women working in a sweatshop. They're making clothes or whatever it is. So that's never confirmed. So if you want to go there, you can go there. But other than that, he's just saving women from being kidnapped, right? So whatever you want to assume happens to kidnap women, that's on you. It's not in the comic book. Then the planet of Kibalon is like Conan the Barbarian is how I describe it, but I had to realize that Conan has sex in his stuff, right? So Planet Keebalon doesn't really have any of that. And in the 3-book series, I don't really deal with sex, right? In my Conan, in my story. So it's more like Masters of the Universe, right? But he has a big sword and he kills and does stuff like that. And then my first one is Horror Streets, and Horror Streets is not necessarily adult in its depictions, but Baba from my movie The Death Pledge, he's taken on some Ku Klux Klan type organization called the White Hoods, and they come into the cemetery and he handles them. And then my other story is like Get Out, or it's like a prequel to Get Out type story. And so there's nothing adult in it per se, but it's killing in that book, and that may be adult for some people. So I wanted to do a story that didn't have necessarily killing as its focal point, and that's what FangerNails is. It's more like Scooby-Doo. The threat and the fear of people getting hurt is in there, but no more than a fist fight occurs. And I did a coloring book for that. And what I learned kind of is that people who want these comic books buy these comic books in conventions or in comic book stores. They're not necessarily the people that support these projects on Kickstarter. Who knows? I'm just really judging by my particular comic book. But I'm looking, and there's a lot of adult comics, there's not many kid-oriented kid or all ages comics on Kickstarter particularly. And I even checked Indiegogo. So it was a learning experience for me. I think I was talking to my wife that FangerNails is going to do amazing at conventions. I think it'll even do well retail-wise. I think the sequel that I have will have a bigger audience than this introductory book. I don't know why. I have the pages up on Kickstarter, but who knows? And maybe I don't have to even do a Kickstarter for it, but I do plan on doing a Kickstarter for it. So I don't know. What else? My next project, this is exciting and it's hilarious. So like I have a distributor for my films. I have Holla If I Kill You, The Death Pledge, and Gold Digger Killer, along with 2 more movies with one particular distributor. And all my movies are horror movies. They're not necessarily gory, but they're horror, right? And the distributor has a lot of other horror movies in it. And the title, not the titles, but the visuals were very violent, or they say the movies aren't rated, but they are rated R. So I was like, dang, I can't have my man advertise in FangerNails, but he's advertised in all of my other comics and been very supportive, So I missed out on him, and he's one of my core advertisers. So in my next comic book that I'm going to do, probably will launch in maybe a couple of weeks. I'm going to start getting it together today and tomorrow. I'm going to launch it on Indiegogo, which is going to be a new platform for me for crowdfunding. I've done GoFundMe and I've been doing Kickstarter a long time. And I want to do an adult comic book. So I had this character called Cyber Bay, and she's a robot. And we did a poster. My man Rolo did the poster for me, and it received a lot of attention. And it sells. I'm selling the poster already, so the poster sells at conventions. So now I'm ready to do the Kickstarter, and the stories are out of control. Like last year, before the quarantine, before the pandemic, I was planning to do 3 short films influenced by Black Mirror. And I wrote these stories that did not require like a lot of moving pieces. And I was prepared to shoot them myself. I still may do it, but when the pandemic hit, it was hard to put anything together. So I was like, dang, all this is shut down. Even the low budget independent film world was shut down. So I changed the film stories and scripts and adapted them to comic books. And so it was called the Black Light Chronicles, right? And I was doing the hosting as Yo Jeff, the hip hop dating coach. And then when I wrote it in the comic book, I felt that this character, Cyber Bay, would be better fitted to do it. And I can embrace the sexual element of it, and I can embrace the adultness of the comic books. So you have 3 stories. One is called The Ass Doctor, and this, of course, is a parody on cosmetic surgery. Then I have another one called The Banger Brothers. And this, now I have to go adult in my language, so, but it's not a curse word, right? So Banger, B-A-N-G, and E-R, right? B-A-N-G stands for bitch ass niggers, right? Back up. And it's bitch ass nigger brothers, right? Banger Brothers. And in this story, it's about future of emasculated world where men are the stay-home eye candy trophy men and stay-home dads. So if you look good, you can get a baller, you know, somebody to take care of you and support you. You don't have to work. But if you don't look good and you're a man, you're lucky to find a wife, and to raise the kids and stuff like that. So that's the second story. And the third story is probably my most successful short story, called The Programmable Man. And in The Programmable Man, it's the story of a male sex robot, right? Or love robot. Let me say love, because it's not just sex. And a woman decides to get a love robot because she can't find a good man. And these robots are able to be programmed just the way you want them. So this is like the perfect dude. So these 3 stories are in my next comic book called The Future of Sex. And I was playing with that name because I was like, damn, that's the name I want to name a book. I want to name a book called The Future of Sex and have it all about love robots and their impact on society. And I still will do that. So I'm putting the title out there, but it's my title. So if I want to use it for something else, I'm going to use it for something else. But I love the title, and it still works for the comic book. So that's coming out in the next one. So the funny thing is, I could not have my distributor advertise in FangerNails because it's all ages and he does adult horror movies. So in The Future of Sex, he will definitely be welcome. But guess what else happens, right? Guess what else happens? So in addition to having him be able to advertise in my comic book, I'm going for a whole lot of other stuff, right? I just came from the adult store. So me as Yo Jeff, I was doing safe sex workshops and teaching kids how to use condoms, and not kids, but anybody, I was teaching them how to do condoms. And in those workshops, there was a whole lot of other stuff that was broader than my sexual palette, right? So we had massage oils, dildos, and a whole lot of sex toys. And then you had everything in that culture, right? So I just thought of, why don't I have some of these products advertised in my comic book? So when you get, my next comic book, be on the lookout for those type of advertisers. And if you know of anybody that has an adult product, black owned, preferably black Latino, or geared towards a black audience, shoot, hit them up. Tell them to get down. The Future of Sex comic book is coming their way, and it's geared towards their audience. So anyway, that's my kind of blog. I have no idea what I'm going to title this blog, but I wanted to express myself because I'm bringing sci-fi to the adult audience community, and we're going to have a ball in it. I haven't even told you about the project. I haven't even told you about the amazing illustrators. So get ready. I'm going to do a full launch on this page, on this video blog. So get ready. But other than that, thank you. I'm over my time, but it's been a ball.